Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass, and thank you for watching today's midday Western U.S. regional forecast video brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions. Well, it has been a while since I've showed you one of these maps, but here we are. We're looking at the last 72 hours of total accumulated snowfall. And that's right, some of our higher elevations in parts of Utah, Colorado, Wyoming, Idaho, and Montana picking up some snow here in the Rocky Mountains. Some locations got quite a bit of snow out of this. So it's about that time here that we start paying attention to what's going on with snowpack. And here we go. First time here, September the 13th, looking at some bigger snows. Now, why is this happening? We did have a relatively deeper trough sitting across much of the western United States that keeps ejecting here, or did eject here into the Central Plains and caused a lot of flooding in parts of the North Central Plains over the last few days. This is something I think we're going to see a lot more of the coming days here in terms of our overall flow pattern before things really start to change a lot in the longer term. So let's dig into it and start off first with the upper level flow right now, midday today on Friday the 13th. What do we see? I see a pretty strong Pacific jet. It's a Pacific jet stream that is relatively unblocked at this point. I keep seeing troughs and ridges move through, but it is going to give us an interesting trajectory on the next three troughs that slide down right out of the Gulf of Alaska along British Columbia and come into parts of the Pacific Northwest in the lower levels here, into the Pacific Northwest, hitting Northern California, Oregon, and Washington. Each of these systems then kind of takes formation here over the mountains and then runs up along this path here that's going to take it through the northern United States. But if I back this off, you can clearly see that it will be, this region that is going to be taking a beating from our Pacific jet stream over the coming days. So take a look at it here first by looking at the next 15 days of precipitation anomalies. We can see that it is this corridor right in through here that is the favored storm track over the coming days. And each of these systems, as they come over the mountains, then reinvigorates and goes on off in that direction once it gets over the mountains. So let's take a look at some of the details here by stretching this out over the next 9 days, looking at total accumulated precipitation from the National Blended Model. So we can see the heavy rainfall corridor on the windward side of the mountains here from Northern California through coastal Oregon and Washington. Some locations there possibly picking up just in the next 7 days, maybe picking up 1.5 inches or 2 inches of rainfall. Now, as each of these systems gets over the mountains, you can see the mountain lift here of the air, and that is certainly going to be aiding in possibly some more higher elevation snow, certainly a lot of mountain thunderstorms, and some heavy rainfall at times in the mountains. And finally, I just want to point out, even though our monsoon has really been underperforming this year, we do need to keep an eye out on some heavier rainfall that could be down there in parts of New Mexico and Arizona in the coming days. We'll get to the temperature forecast in a few minutes, but it's going to be one that's going to be on a wild roller coaster ride as well. Well, if we just look out over the next 60 hours, so this takes us out to midday on Sunday, it's not until we get into that time frame that we really start to pick up on the precipitation here in the Pacific Northwest. Starting you off today on Friday, getting you through the morning and mid-afternoon, some widely scattered showers and thunderstorms in the Pacific Northwest. And also we're going to be watching down here in parts of New Mexico and Arizona for some widely scattered showers and storms on our monsoonal flow. But this is now Saturday morning, getting into Saturday midday, getting into Saturday afternoon. What do we see again? More storms popping off the heat down here in parts of Arizona. But I want you to watch this area into the evening hours on Saturday and into Sunday morning. That's our first of what I think is 3 systems to be watching over the next week. Now, as this slides through, this could be a wet Sunday midday into the afternoon hours here across parts of Oregon and Washington as this next big low comes down. And by the way, just to keep you aware, we are keeping a close eye on what could be Tropical Storm Umberto following the path of Hurricane Dorian from about 10 days ago. So we need to keep an eye out down here as well, even though I know we're focusing on the western United States in this video. So let's take a look at this a little bit broader view and a little bit longer term. Starting you off here, let's just play out the next couple of days and step it back. So Friday, widely scattered showers in the Pacific Northwest and also down there, like we talked about, down here in parts of Arizona and New Mexico. Here's system number 1 skirting along the coast of British Columbia, and it sweeps in like this. This is Saturday evening, getting into Sunday morning. So there it is. That's the system we just talked about. Now this one continues to slide south as the first trough digs south and brings in some rain into northern California. And again, that's going to be Sunday into Monday that we're seeing that rain in Northern California. You can already see system number 2 right up here, and it's sliding south. There it is. So this is now Tuesday afternoon. System 1 is now sitting over the Rocky Mountains, about ready to eject into the north central plains, with System 2 hot on its heels. So this again, Tuesday afternoon into the evening hours. System 1 out, System 2 in. See it right in through here? This is early in the morning on Wednesday. And that one comes down and it does the same thing as the previous one does, which is that by the end of the week, it ejects here into the, over the mountains and then takes on off and through the north central plains. I told you there's another one coming in. Here it is. This is now getting you out. This is pretty far out in the forecast, but we're out here around the 23rd, 24th, and it's sliding down the same way. So at least two large systems to be contending with, one that comes in on Sunday, lasting till Monday, and then a second one coming in midweek to finish our week next week. So we got a very wet week that's coming up. And what's controlling this is the upper level flow of the atmosphere. So here we can see it. Blues are troughs, reds are ridges. And if you notice as you went through this animation, the whole system is largely unblocked and moving. So here we go. Friday. Here's our first little weak trough coming through, cooling some things down for the Pacific Northwest. Here is the bigger system coming through on Sunday. See it? So that is the first real push. So as this one comes through, knocks temperatures back, brings in the rain for early this week. System number 2 is lined up. It's right in through here on Tuesday morning. Watch it sweep through. There it goes. It sweeps through Tuesday into Wednesday. Now, after that point, getting toward the end of next week, we could be seeing our flow pattern going back into something like this. Now, look at this. Ridge over the Aleutian Islands, trough in the Gulf of Alaska, ridge building here across the western United States. So our temperature patterns are going to be on the same roller coaster that the 500 millibar heights are on. And what do we notice? Getting into the 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. This trough, if properly placed here, which we've now talked about all week, will allow for quite a bit of heat to come back in. So a cool down coming this week and then heat rebuilding very quickly as we get out to the day 10, 11, 12 forecast. But with time, what do we see? Well, we need to keep a close eye on how that all evolves over there in terms of determining our temperatures. So let's do a short-term temperature outlook first, and then we'll look longer term. Friday's high temperatures, in the Snake River Valley, upper 80s, could be seeing the upper 70s, low 80s here in the Columbia Basin. But overall, for the Pacific Northwest, this is a cooler day for us. Now, playing this forward, take a look at your temperatures on Saturday. Again, a lot of 70s and 80s. Getting you into Sunday, this is when the first trough works its way in. Look at that, knocking the temperatures back in the western part first and then the eastern part later. So yep, Sunday's still a hot day here for the Snake River Valley. But look at the cool down happening for Oregon and Washington. There it is on Monday, cooling everybody down. Tuesday, the cooler air in the upper level trough sticks around. Wednesday, still there. But by the end of the week, Thursday, into Friday, we start to see the resurgence back of that warmer air again. And that's just the nature of this trough ridge pattern. Take a look at the temperatures in California. Today on Friday, we got a lot of upper 90s, lower triple-digit heat. But as I press play on this moving forward, watch the same thing happen. So this is Friday. Saturday's temperatures still hot. But Sunday, whoops, I went too fast there. Sunday into Monday, look at that. The Sacramento Valley here, talking about high temperatures in the 70s. Whew, that's something else. Look at the cooler weather coming in. This is next Tuesday. By Wednesday and Thursday, the ridge returns, and that's why we see the warm-up of the temperatures coming back in. So to summarize all that, take a look at your temperature patterns over the next 5 days. With the trough sliding down, cooling this area off first, okay? But we do notice in the 6 to 10 day time period, which is over here, we're starting to see the rebuilding of that warmth coming back as these troughs slowly start to move out here into the Central Plains, cooling them off. Look at the 11 to 15 day forecast. This is when the trough sits here and the ridge builds back up. We could go back into a warmer pattern here as we stretch this out to the 3rd and 4th week of the month of September. So keep an eye out on this for the western United States. This is a big resurgence of some heat later on. Last thing I want to talk about is I want to talk about fires real quick. We do have a few areas out west that we are watching. So this is the next 48 hours of vertically integrated smoke. So we're modeling where we have smoke moving in the atmosphere. So a couple of fires in California to be watching, also down here in parts of Arizona and through parts of southern Idaho. But overall, you're not seeing widespread fire problems across the across the west and the Intermountain West. Still a few areas to be on the lookout for. I want to point you toward a great resource that you can be checking out daily. They're the best in the business. It is from the Storm Prediction Center, but they have this fire product that they put out. And I'm showing you out here to day 4. So this is getting us through the end of the weekend back into early next week, so Sunday into Monday. And you can see where they are anticipating some windier conditions and some drier conditions, therefore the fire threat increases. The good thing that these guys are very talented at is understanding the kind of the microclimate of the wind and what it does in terms of relative humidity to really increase fire threat in certain regions. So I want you to check them out, spc.noaa.gov/products/EXPER/fire_WX, which is how we abbreviate the word weather. So check it out. It's a great resource. But with that, I'll go ahead and wrap up this forecast video. Hope you all have a great weekend. We'll talk to you again very soon. And remember, if you're in the Pacific Northwest on the West Coast, keep that umbrella handy over the coming week. Talk to you soon. Thank you.